Okay. No, we don't use one now. Only YouTube.
You don't use it.
Facebook.
That I will not use that.
No, this is almost disabled. We can't do. We have to do one at a time. We can't do both. What's the point? No, so we are live. YouTube.
Okay. It's on our website.
I need to send this thing to this book.
So what they want?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So put on the website. Send something to you now, so you put on the website what they are streaming. Huh? Your email address. They are sending your email now on as a text message.
I'll send it to your WhatsApp. I'll send the YouTube link to your WhatsApp.
Say it's really fast. It took me that
She also sent it to him in WhatsApp. I have him in WhatsApp here.
Today is not on. His phone is bad.
His phone.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we commence this program this morning, this afternoon, I'd like to invite the chaplain of the University Chapel of Grace, Reverend Festus Sasson, to give us opening prayer. Please, after the opening prayer, we'll all remain standing to take the national anthem and the University anthem. Thank you.
I tell our Father, I'm very much grateful to you. I'm feeling allowed to see you on that day, 2nd December 2020. When you have seen our life of all of us, as we begin this program, I will lecture in honor of our father, Major Professor Chukwuma Chidebe, a man of high public integrity, academic, medical knowledge. But may your will be done this morning. As the guest lecturer will be delivering the fitting lecture in honor of your son. May everything be done in honor and perfectly. And I will bless you, we adore you. As we go into this program, the both of you to take absolute control. And we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Vice Chancellor, the Chairman of the occasion, Professor Lawrence Ikechukwu Uzumoni, PhD, FAS, Professor of Ecotoxicology and Environmental Forensics, Fellow Nigerian Environmental Society, Fellow Solar Energy Society of Nigeria, Fellow West African Society of Toxicology, former Federal Director, National Center for Energy and Environment under the Energy Commission of Nigeria, 2 times Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, visiting Professor Lancaster University, United Kingdom. Our distinguished celebrant, Professor Lawrence Chukwuma Chidozie, and his adorable wife, Lady Helen Chidozie. Please put your hands together for them, please. Let us rejoice. Thank you. Another round of applause, please. Our valedictory guest lecturer, Dr. Abubakar Mohammed Bello, consultant radiation oncologist at the Department of Radiology and Oncology, National Hospital, Abuja. Principal officers of the Canadian University of Canada. Principal officers of the Canadian University of Canada. Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Deborah Monsefe Odejimi, Professor of Finance and Development Economics, Federal Institute of Policy and Management Development, member Royal Economic Society, United Kingdom. The University Registrar, Mr. Friday Benji Bakari, Esquire. The University Bossa, Dr. Musa Edobiawiri, FCA. The University Librarian, Dr. Lucky Tijani Abdusalam, Mr. Emmanuel Ehosa Imafidon, member of the University Management, internal members of Government Council of the Canadian University of Harad, Professor Ralph Adege, representing Congregation, Professor D.U. Ibe, representing the Senate, Professor George Zebua, representing the Senate, Professor Josiah, Sunday Josiah, representing Convocation. The Provost of our Foundation Georgia College of Health Sciences, Professor Jacob Unigwe, the Chief Medical Director of the Canadian University Teaching Hospital, Professor Godwin Sakari Ezwaye, our newly passed CMD, Professor Julius Awell, Deans of Schools and Colleges, the Dean School of Postgraduate Studies and Research, Professor Mrs. Tony Okore, the Dean School of Clinical Medicine, Professor Dominic Osada, the Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Sunday Josiah, the Dean Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan College of Art and Social Sciences, Professor Babatole Agara, the Dean Oba Ellington Ogunwusi Adeyeye Ojaja II College of Natural and Applied Sciences, Professor Chike Ajuku, the Dean General of Salami Abubakar College of Engineering, Dr. Roland Azike, the Dean Oba Iridiawa College of Law, Professor Rashid Jaudola, the Dean Donald Community College of Pharmacy, Dr. Godaro Igbe, the Head Student Affairs, Barrister Kennedy Benedict, and every other members of Senate here present. May I at this point recognize our distinguished guests, and let me also inform that this program is also being viewed live via Zoom. The ICT people will please upload once again on the screen the Zoom ID and passcode for this event. But I'm pleased to recognize the presence via Zoom, our former very distinguished registrar of this university, Dr. Mrs. Salim Asakwa. She's live watching us via Zoom. I'm also pleased to recognize here our distinguished guest, Chief N.O. Nwazomudu, a former retired commissioner of police. Please put your hands together for him. Also, I'm pleased to recognize Professor Mrs. Evelyn Unwege, now retired. She's senior Moonshine Elders Care Center now in the university. Please put your hands together for her. That's the wife of the provost of the College of Health Sciences. Can you please wave your hand and let people see you? Thank you. I'm also pleased to recognize Professor Liet Ebwonwa, retired pediatric surgeon. Also Professor Elone J. Nwabuzo from the Benson Idausa University. Thank you very much for coming. Dr. Philip O. Emafo, retired Director of Pharmaceutical Services, Federal Ministry of Health. I'm pleased to recognize Professor Ogo A. Ofuani from the University of Benin. I'm also pleased to recognize Dr. U.N. Shagaya, Consultant Radiation Clinical Oncologist. Please, I'm also pleased to recognize a retired distinguished nurse, Mrs. Ono Kerui Raye. Please pardon me for that. Thank you very much. She's from UBTH. And also a physiotherapist here, Mrs. Christy Orishejapo. All of our guests here present also acknowledge in the course of the event. We will also recognize other dignitaries. May I at this point quickly recognize our directors of units, the Director Center for Intellectual Property and Technology Transfer, Professor Charity Mabiwe, former Deputy Vice Chancellor, Dr. David Osunde Center, the Director, Dr. David Osunde Center for Entrepreneurship, Dr. David Omobuare, Director, Buratai Center for Contemporary Security Studies, Dr. Femi Olufulade, Director, Center for Climate Change and SDGs, Dr. Spencer Nwaku, Director, Climate Planning, Dr. Mrs. Angela Idonije, Director, GST, Dr. Regina Uwokedi, Director of ICT, Dr. Raf Asibo, and the Head of Works and Services Unit, Engineer Zebe Iswani. May I also recognize the Head of Human Health, Mr. Reverend Festus Osasen. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure at this point to welcome you all to this epoch-making event. This is the first in the history of this university of a valedictory lecture being given in honor of the long-serving member of faculty of the university. It's my pleasure to welcome you all. My name is Obajide Bebo, the Head of Public Relations Unit in the Vice Chancellor's Office. Without further delay, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with a mark of recognition and standing ovation, I'd like to invite the Vice Chancellor of our great university, Benedict University of Para, Professor Lawrence Chipo to the microphone to give the welcome address. Thank you. This powerful life of the university are very distinguished guests together today. The chief celebrant and the man of the moment, Professor Lawrence Chipo. Very distinguished guests here. I was almost tempted to adopt the protocol so well established by the public relations officers of this university. This should not be on record. I need to repeat some of those recognitions because some of them names were murdered. Let me welcome with so much nostalgia very senior colleague and professor from the University of Louis, where I come from. In no particular order of lecture. Warmly welcome Professor Ogo Ofuen. Leading the pack of very distinguished ladies and mothers of the day, I would like to respectfully recognize the presence of the wife, the First Lady, our former Vice Chancellor of the University of Louis, Mrs. Onokoraya. Thank you. I know that Chief Wazomodo was recognized. Welcome. Same way, very acknowledge the matriarch as the leader of the CDZ family, special celebrants today. Welcome, man. And I acknowledge with so much love and
Reverend, the authentic students of IO. Thank you for coming. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our distinguished guests to this spacious occasion. Described with the period protocol in my office by our guest speaker as a very gracious moment and occasion. The occasion of the valedictory lecture in honor of our MBA Lawrence Kuhlman. First valedictory lecture to be here in the University. The report on this lecture quickly depicts the fact that 51 years at the University of Scourge. Talking about this lecture at this moment, the clear indication again have gone through the meal, and also a reflection incident. Today's lecture will be delivered by a well-chosen professional. The citation will be really read, but I'm talking of Dr. Abubakar Mohammed Bello, who is a consultant radiation oncologist in the Department of Radiology and Oncology at the National Hospital. But beyond that, he is the president of African Organization for Research and Training in Cancer. He is the second president hails from Nigeria to head that organization. And his lecture is titled Reducing the Scourge of Cancer. This topic is apt, it's exigent, it's necessary, and it's of high demand locally, nationally, and globally. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to introduce the person in whose honor we are here this morning. I stand here engulfed in profoundly conflicting emotions. Probably because one of our best brains, thoroughbred, outstanding teacher of teachers and mentor, his family is you. That's his who. And the second reason that is initiating this conflict of emotional crisis in me is the potential indispensability of Professor Lawrence Chukwuka. Here we are today. I've just known Professor Chukwuka for barely 2 years. Just that. And you certainly would know how I feel. Undertaking is emotional assignment. It's just mandatory that I have to do it, otherwise I would have opted that someone else perform this assignment. Professor Lawrence Chukwumachi, as it is Ibadan University of Ghana, is living with his head high. Not only is he living without blemish of record of service, he's living with his integrity intact and his character untainted. Very rare disposition of Nigerians is in our service. It's always a totally different scenario. Professor Lawrence Chukwumachi is regarded today as one of the greatest physicians and philosophers of our time. A wonderful career as a physician, a scientist, an administrator. But his role as a teacher may as well be regarded as a high point of his distinguished career. As a pioneer staff of the College of Health Sciences, he contributed significantly to the growth of the college and the university in several ways, in different dimensions, and various facets of growth of this university. There is no way the history of the Ibadan University of Ghana will be written without Professor Chidoze's contribution, occupying the right place. He is a professor of surgery with interest in apology. Almost a generation of medical doctors have passed through Professor Chidoze's tutelage and skillful medical advice. At the client of the university academic totem, the totem pole is head of the department, dean of clinical medicine, provost, college of health sciences, and above all, as the deputy vice chancellor of this university. Also intimate you with the fact that he also pioneered our inaugural lecture series, which initiated the law of an interface between the town and Ghana. With his inaugural lecture that was titled, "This Surgeon's Hand in the Service of Mankind." I am also tempted to tell you that this surgeon's hand in the service of mankind has saved many souls. This lecture was given way back 30th of March 2005. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I cannot forget in a hurry his chairmanship of several other committees of this university. And what is remarkable about his chairmanship is the prompt presentation and perfect rendition of the report of his committees. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Professor Chidoze's commitment and loyalty to the university were never enough. I describe him as a master craft. He had the tenets, and his ethos were very, very bad. A professional with the core. I recall that on several occasions, particularly during the accreditations of the College of Health Sciences, he donated a huge quantity of his personal medical journals and medical books to the medical library to ensure the success of the accreditation of
the medical school. It's a difficult day. The days described, the days of challenges. Professor Chidozie was ready, willing, always available to provide constant advice and counsel that ensured the survival and the stability. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Professor Lawrence Chukwuma Chidozie. For those of us who do not really understand people very well, that middle name is divine and instructive. Chukwuma, only God knows. What the Lord has written shall definitely come to pass. Our special celebrant today, the man of the government, has once described himself as a man of electric interest. Outside his excellent medical professional contributions, he has gradually become the Robin Cook of Nigerian medical profession. You want to know why? Surely you want to know why? Professor Chidozie published the Tango Oath, the Yamadi, the Wily Rat, and the Ripples of the Stream, all three novels in a row. Sad, superb of service of the university. Not in any way taking away your service from the university. I will continue to pray for you. That God will provide you and guarantee that you live.
I'll send it to your
grow health and grow in spirituality. Thank you.
You too. I'm not hearing you.
There's a dot in between you and the chief.
Please come
Is it
to
correct?
Yes. Yes. No, there's no dot there.
May I
What is sent to me?
inform the celebrant of today?
It's www.youtube.
Prior to
This
today,
is it. I send it like this.
the university management
Can
took time to
you
send
just send it to
emissions
my?
around the globe
Yes.
to collect
It's not the
accolades
same. It's a little bit different.
on behalf of Professor Chidozie.
I didn't receive it.
We have them so numerous.
Oh, let me just type it from your phone, sir.
Present them all. But sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the next 10 minutes, we want to present to you a very brief
What I received.
eulogies
There's no
on
dot.
Professor Lawrence
There's no dot.
Chukwuma.
This is what I got.
Thank
That's
you.
not what you should use.
That's what I want to collect. Actually.
You can use your.
Let me just see the phone.
Professor Lawrence Chukwuma Chidozie, a distinguished professor of surgery, an international scholar of notes, an Arts chief administrator, and a leader of men. When the history of Indonesian University Okada gets to the written, as we are trying to do in part now, Professor Chidozie's name must be emblazoned in pure gold. He has been one of the pillars behind the university's success in all areas. In medicine, he is the one who managed all accreditation visits and enabled us to overcome formidable obstacles. Professor Chidozie was one of the university's secret aces. Professor Chidozie held the fort of clinical medicine and embodied its greatness. At one point, he single-handedly reviewed the curriculum. At other points, he turned his personal library, which always has the most up-to-date periodicals in medicine. He received the greatest reward yet when in 2006 he produced IUO's first medical doctors, the very first by a private university in Nigeria in West Africa. Yet, for all these, and even though he was a father of clinical medicine by every achievement, his humility made him turn down the offer of provost of the college. Twice he was offered, and twice he said no. Thank you. He preferred to remain dean. Even when the university managed to persuade him to become DEC, he begged to be allowed to double as dean. Just so clinical medicine did not suffer neglect. As DEC, he brought wisdom to management, as indeed he has continuously done for Senate. Members of Senate know too well that Chie Dozie is one person they all look to when foreign issues arise. It was for this reason that he was retained in the management team after his tenure as DVC. His knowledge and use of ICT and internet are second to none. For his age, he is unbelievably a 22nd century leader. Professor Chie Dozie is a solid scholar. He is one of the most published and most cited researchers in IUO. It should be noted that he has the distinction of delivering the first inaugural lecture in IUO. Yet, he is unassuming and very approachable. Little wonder he has successfully mentored thousands of students in junior faculty. He is described in some quarters as a lifelong teacher. As a person, Professor Chie Dozie is kind, caring, and nice, always ready to help and solve problems. He represents the very good that God created man to be. There are too many testimonies to share about this wonderful teacher, mentor, administrator, leader, father, and friend of all. From the incumbent vice chancellor to the former vice chancellor, the provost, chief medical director, deans, first generation to third and fourth generation students, secretaries, and even cleaners. Everybody have a sweet story to say about Professor Lawrence Chukwuma Chie Dozie. Let's take some of them.
It's a real honor, and of course, a special privilege for me to be given an opportunity to say one or two things about the man Professor Lawrence Chie Dozie, a man of important character whose professional ethics is strong, and his courage and comportment were really exemplary. A very civil, academic, episcopal profession. I will always describe Professor Chie Dozie as the mentor of mentors and the teacher of teachers. I would like to thank him for his service, delivery, and the exemplary life, his commitment and loyalty to the cause of this university. It's not just the time, it's something every person struggles. It's a kind of teacher, kind of professional, kind of lecturer that we all aspire to be, so that by the time we are leaving an institution or an establishment where you have served so long, you will remember not just for our own personal needs, but for the need of contribution. Professor Lawrence Chie Dozie will continue to remain in the academic calendar, academic support, records, documents, coverage, medical sciences.
I know Professor Chie Dozie, as you said, correct. We've worked together in accord in the unity, and it's a pleasure for me, a very distinguished professor of surgery, and very much in the forefront of breast cancer. He has paid his dues in this university, and even at his age, Professor Chie Dozie is one of the most proficient people I know in computer sciences and work with computer systems.
The man, teacher, let's say my father's teacher, because he taught those who taught me. And also to come to know him while working at the university, We usually call him Professor in trustee, the deputy vice chancellor, who is in everything from the beginning of the College of Medicine up to date, not always in the notes. But nature ensures that at that age, it needs to also go to wake up.
I think that Professor Lawrence has to be not just one just changes. It's a leave the services of the university. I wish him this is their work. We are talking about the red cap chief. So there's a consummate, person. He's very passionate, he's very serious. And all of these things, he does always to the point. Before it be that he doesn't plant himself into all of these things for any selfish reason. Very altruistic. Is a man, that comes to our team as a commander of forces. I wish him well. I wish that in his grand old age, he enjoys the rest of life. I wish that the university that he has helped to strengthen in such very great and fundamental ways would emblazon his name so that when the history of the Canadian University will be remembered as Professor Lawrence who was Foundation Dean of Clinical Medicine, who was the second Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University, who on 2 occasions publicly said to the university, I am honored to be considered for the Institute of Provost and even the CMP, but I want to continue to do my work as the secretary. These circumstances, that was the title of his novel, because it was the government of the university. And looking back and saying, how many more young intellectuals have was me and taken as a platform. I wish it's a chicken that was coming.
He's a complete gentleman. He dresses very well. He speaks easily. He articulates whatever he wants to say before he says it. And when he speaks, people listen and get good knowledge and guidance.
We talk about a man he's a professor of a different he does all his has to do with grace and style. He's a complete gentleman in all ramifications. He is a father of all, a leader of no mean reputation, and he is a medical practitioner of an international standard. He founded the University of the country, founding dean. He is a very dedicated teacher, very passionate academic, and is the institutional memory for the School of Clinical Medicine.
Great surgeon, wish you long prosperity.
Ever since I got to 14 years ago, one of the most eminent and dedicated individual who is committed to
The wonderful man, he was born to be a teacher. He also knew one day one of us will be a part of
you are a great power of strength and knowledge, a father, a mentor, and a friend.
I'm Dr. Odiri. On behalf of the boss class, I want to thank Professor Chidozie for the immense sacrifices and impact he had in our lives. If not for him, we would not be standing here as proud doctors today. So, Prof, we want to say a very big thank you.
My name is Miro Patola. One of the class reps from the 2003 step, backseat to be precise. I want to wish you nothing but the best. It's my prayer that your legacy, which you have stamped at the heart of the medical school in the university, will not die. And we are products of that legacy, and it's my prayer that it will live on. And I can only say to you that you have done well.
I never see person like Hannah. She said I don't for my neck. Where I don't carry for my neck, I never see that person. Where it be like Joseph for my neck. It gets the teacher that they do like this, people coming. When you do like this, when you do like this, you are not going to go say, I don't come inside, I'll go for the of course, yes, they'll come if you say, let's not do like this again. See what you have that day. They dress for, I say, sorry, sir. Now, I don't know, they tell us, sorry, sir. Do that, Nigeria, I my first ticket. If you reach up, is that time, they say, no, not they carry cooking, they go, they carry my baby, they go. If you reach, they go say, how are you, baby? How are you doing? Go beat them. So they know.
Staff and students of Illuminate University Okada celebrates Professor Lawrence Chukuma Chiedozie on this befitting retirement celebration as we wish you longer life, peace of mind, good health, and sound mind.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on this note, may I invite Professor Dominic Osaga to do a presentation on Professor Elsie Chiedozie, that is the man of honor.
Vice Chancellor and Chairman of Education, Principal Officers, Provost, Deans, Heads of Departments, Professors, Directors of Programs and Centers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and great students of the University. Professor Lawrence Chiedozie, BA, MD, DAB, Professor Sir, the upstanding sir, with all greatest respect. Lawrence Chiedozie, BA of Biology, MD, DAB, Surgery, FICS, FACS, Medical Doctor, Clinician, Surgeon, Oncologist, Academician, University Administrator, and an intellectual aristocrat. Valedictory lecture from Berlin is retirement from IUO. Today's event is a recognition of his numerous and landmark contributions to the growth and development of IUO in general, and the College of Health Sciences and the School of Clinical Medicine in particular. There are two sets of people in the life of organizations such as Illuminate University. These people are categorized into long-stay and short-stay individuals. This is further summarized with the aphorism, some come to stay, while others come and go. Those that come to stay are characterized by patience, passion, loyalty, unwavering commitment to service, organizational goals and objectives, and capacity to focus on the big picture of the institution. In short, this group may be described as the good citizens of the organization. On the other hand, those that come and go are typified by impatience, self-centeredness, opportunistic, tendencies, inconsiderate, and impulsive in taking decisions, as well as disloyalty to the vision, mission, core values, and objectives of the organization. These are the bad citizens of the organization. However, on the flip side, two other groups exist, including the long-stay but exhibiting features of the short-stay people and the short-stay people that exhibit the features of the long-stay people. Professor Lawrence Chukwuma Chiedozie belongs to the first set of people, that is, those people that come and stay and are good citizens. It is on record. Only Professor Chiedozie is remaining on the academic staff of IUO out of the 43 professors that joined IUO within the first 3 years of its inception. Professor Chiedozie is the longest serving member of Senate of IUO, made up of 84 members, including 33 professors as of November 2020. Professor Chiedozie's uncommon, steadfast commitment and loyalty to IUO is underlined by numerous contributions to the institution. For example, he served the university in diverse administrative and academic capacities such as Deputy Vice Chancellor for 3 years, 2005 to 2008, founding Dean 2004, and Dean School of Clinical Medicine for 14 years. 2010 to 2014 and 2016 to 2018. And head Department of Surgery for 15 years, 2003 to 2020 on different occasions. As well as being chairman and member of countless committees of council, senate, communication, convocation, and college of health sciences and school of clinical medicine. It is noteworthy that as the first and founding dean of the School of Clinical Medicine, Professor Chiedozie was pivotal in ensuring that IUO emerged with the distinction of being the first ever private university in Africa, south of the Sahara, including Nigeria, to produce medical doctors. As of today, the School of Clinical Medicine has produced over 1,200 doctors. Was saddled with the task of laying a solid foundation for the successful take-up of the medical program of the university. It is to his eternal credit that he provided the appropriate documentation, orientation, and strategic advice on the availability and provision of physical infrastructure and staffing that led to the offer of the first full accreditation of the MBBS program of IUO by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria and the MUC, as well as other accrediting bodies globally, such as the Association of Medical Schools and Colleges in the Commonwealth countries, General Medical Council of the UK, and other examining bodies like the Examination Council and like ECFMG, examining bodies in Canada, Australia, among others. Like the father of medicine, he is very passionate about the essence of the inculcation of discipline and need to uphold the ethics and tradition of the medical profession. It is to his eternal memory, sagacity, and singular distinction that he introduced the white coat ceremony to IUO. Plays the trail in being the first medical school in Nigeria, and the second is in Sub-Saharan Africa to celebrate the white coat ceremony. This ceremony is a rite of passage for medical students, being promoted from preclinical medicine at the 400 level to clinical practice 400 to 600 level. The white coat ceremony reinforces the essence of being a medical doctor and provide the unique opportunity to remind the medical students about the do's and don'ts of the profession. The ceremony is witnessed by members of the university community, parents, guardians, and a cross-section of people drawn from all walks of life. He also contributed to the policy formulation process of the university by virtue of diverse administrative positions held and membership of different committees of the university. It is instructive that Professor Chidozie is an active participant at meetings, and his contributions are highly informative. His presence inevitably enriches the output and recommendations proffered by the various committees. The Senate of IBO will continue to remember him for his quiet, friendly, orderly, and humble dispositions, and for being very time conscious. He's always among the first 10 to arrive Senate for scheduled meetings. He robes, takes his seat with the dignified comportment of an elderly professor. Of the Senate with rapt attention, and his contribution to debates on the floor of the Senate are invaluable and highly informative, and assisted greatly in the resolution of difficult, tricky, and fundamental issues. Professor Chidozie is adept at reminding senators of previous decisions of Senate, as well as the circumstances and historicity of issues taken for discussion. He comes to meetings fully prepared, with complete readings and corrections of meetings of previous meetings, and makes informed contributions and suggestions. At all meetings, he serves as the institutional memory, a moving library, as he brings to the fore the contextual basis of issues taken for discussion. A peacemaker par excellence, a consummate team player, as revealed by the roles he assumed in times of controversies and implementation of decisions. The Senate is solid, needs his dignified ear and wise counsel. Professor Chidozie promoted interaction between the ground and the town, as previously referred to. He delivered the first inaugural lecture, which is the first of the 17 inaugural lectures delivered so far in the 20 years of founding of IBO. The lecture was delivered on the 30th of March 2005 and entitled "This Southern Stance in the Service of Mankind." The inaugural lecture was the first recorded attempt by IBO as an academic institution and citadel of learning to take the ground to the town for interaction with the host community and the wider public. Thus, it can be surmised that this singular effort of Professor Chidozie was aimed at showing the way for others to follow. It contributed greatly towards reinforcing and fulfilling one of the cardinal objectives of the establishment of IBO, which is aimed at the promotion of scientific knowledge and dissemination of its results for socio-economic benefits and national development. He has contributed immensely to healthcare delivery and medical education in Nigeria for over 45 years now, since 1975, when he joined the Science University of Benin as a young lecturer too. His contributions are particularly notable in the areas of improved access to qualitative surgical care through the running of general and specialty clinics, teaching, research, and development of medical curriculum, and the production of high-caliber human resources for the health sector of the economy. He taught generations of doctors, including myself standing here today. In the 1970s, 1980s, and others are both undergraduate and postgraduate levels, and supervised fellowship dissertations, as well as mentored countless doctors. It is to his credit that he started and introduced best practices in the practice of oncology in Nigeria. It is noteworthy that he initiated and ran the tumor and breast oncology clinic in Village from 1979 to 1989. The clinic provided a unified expertise for the management of various oncological problems as well as the teaching of oncology to student nurses, medical students, and postgraduate resident doctors in surgery. Professor Chidozie is a rare Nigerian. He's imbued with nationalistic instincts. He believes fervently in Nigeria as a nation and will go to great lengths to sacrifice to serve the country and uphold her honor and dignity. That's why he quickly returned from USA to Nigeria in 1975 upon completion of 14 years, 1961 to 1975 of undergraduate and postgraduate medical education, as well as returned to Nigeria after 14 years, 1989 to 2000, for brain drain to Saudi Arabia. Brain drain to Saudi Arabia resulted from the economic downturn in the country in the 80s under the administration of Babangida. I was a young doctor then, and I recall that many Nigerians had to drift from Nigeria to move out. Professor Chidozie painfully had to leave because of the fighting situation of the economic situation. He returned immediately to Nigeria to continue his service. That was when he turned to Canadian. Now, Professor Chidozie, the man I've been talking about, my teacher, was born on June 8, 1939, at precisely 7:45 p.m. in Calabar. So Chief Judge Mokolo Chidozie and Matilda Nwasile Chidozie of Onitsukwu in Delta State. He attended Deep School at St. Patrick's College, Calabar, for his primary and secondary education. He was an exceptional student, and his brilliance was demonstrated by being the recipient of various competitive scholarship awarded on merit, including African Scholarship Program of American Universities and scholarship of the USA government. The scholarship enabled him to undergo undergraduate education in the USA and postgraduate education as well in the USA. He completed his residency training in the United States of America and obtained relevant certifications as a surgeon, that is, Diploma American Board for the Faculty of Surgery, and thereafter the Fellowship of the American College of Surgeons. Professor Chidozie has contributed immensely to literature, medical literature, by publication of several articles and so on. But of interest today, that as a doctor and as a researcher and a medical scientist, he found time, like was underlined earlier by the Vice Chancellor, to publish literature, to publish novels. And two of these novels are outstanding. One is called The Tangled Oath, and the other is called Yamadi, the Willy Rat. In this regard, Professor Chidozie can be comparable to Luke, the physician, and the disciple of our Lord Jesus Christ, and who authored the book of St. Luke in the Bible on the birth, life, and ministry of Jesus. My teacher, Professor Chidozie, is a professional husband and a family man. He is married to Helen Infela Chidozie and blessed with 3 children, Nketinye, who is a graduate nurse in Yale University Nursing, and Dr. Mrs. Uchechukwu Shagaya, who is a consultant radiotherapy and clinical oncologist at the National Hospital of Abuja, and in some medicine, Chidozie, who is a consultant in family medicine in Medford, Oregon, USA. This citation being presented on behalf of Senate of the University of Canadian University, we, the senators, hereby present Professor Chidozie today, on whose behalf the valedictory lecture is to be delivered. Professor Chidozie, like I started at the beginning, BA Biology, DAB Surgery, FACS, FICS, member of several academies, actually member New York Academy of Sciences, fellow West African College of Surgery, fellow Nigerian Medical College Faculty of Surgery, multiple scholarship award winner, a pathfinder in the development of surgical oncology in Nigeria, an accomplished academician, university administrator, and teacher of teachers, an author and novelist, and an intellectual article.
Vice Chancellor, sir. On this note, I'd like to invite Dr. Mrs. Regina Ripeta to the microphone to present citation on the guest lecturer. Please welcome to that one.
Citation. My excellent Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Lawrence Etiku, Principal of Staff of Leader University present, our father for whom we are all gathered at this all-important occasion, Professor Lawrence Etiku. Please permit me to adopt the already well-established protocol. Citation in honor of Dr. Bello Abubakar Mohammed. Ladies and gentlemen, before us is Dr. Bello Abubakar Mohammed, a doctor of medicine. He has the fellowship of the Medical Council of Radiologists, FMCR. He is a fellow of the International College of Surgeons, FICS. He is the chief consultant, clinical and radiation oncologist, and the current president of the African Organization for Training and Research in Cancer. He earned his medical degree from the Medical University of Varna in Bulgaria and proceeded to the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria in the Faculty of Radiology with special focus in radiotherapy and clinical oncology, which earned him board certification in clinical oncology and radiation oncology. His goal of studying cancer was to deduce safe and effective methods to prevent, detect, diagnose, treat, and ultimately cure the collections of diseases we call cancer. His contributions to the study of cancer are obvious and well appreciated in the League of Practitioners in the world of medicine. His special interests are in breast, prostate, and colorectal cancers, and also in AIDS-related malignancies with special expertise in chemotherapy, targeted therapies, and immunotherapies. He also specializes in radiotherapy using the most advanced treatment planning systems. At the international stage, he is well recognized as he is an International Atomic Energy Agency Fellow, IAEA, at the National Cancer Institute, Cairo, in Egypt. He was among the first attendees at the newly formed Department of Evidence-Based Medicine in Oxford University in the United Kingdom. In 2019, in Orlando, Florida, Dr. Bello was a guest speaker at the plenary of the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, NCCN, annual conference. The NCCN is made up of 30 institutions representing the nation's top cancer centers. The National Comprehensive Center Network are at the forefront of cancer diagnosis, treatment, and supportive care, leading the way in conducting groundbreaking researches. Worthy of note is that Dr. Bello is the only African scientist to be so honored in 50 years history of the organization. Furthermore, in that same year, absolutely tied to his leadership acumen and recognition, he was elected into the prestigious Institute of Leadership and Excellence in Oncology of the National Comprehensive Cancer Network in Barcelona, Spain. Dr. Bello's contributions in the field of medicine and specialized medical care remain enormous and outstanding. Also worthy of mentioning is his assiduous work towards establishing the AIDS Malignancy Center at the National Hospital Abuja to study why human immunodeficiency virus patients develop cervical cancer and therefore develop their only HIV genotyping and resistance testing polymerase chain reaction laboratory in the country. It's a member of many professional bodies, amongst which are American Association of Cancer Research, AACR, American Society of Clinical Oncology, ASCO, European Society of Medical Oncology, ESMO. He's also the prestigious member of Oncology at the Limits, and that is a group of distinguished oncologists from around the globe. In similar vein, he is a member of the African Cancer Coalition and has contributed to the development of the National Comprehensive Cancer Network harmonized guidelines for sub-Saharan Africa for prostate, colon, rectal, and anal cancers, as well as many other cancers. He currently chairs the prostate cancer NCCN harmonized guidelines, as well as the colon, rectal, anal, and colorectal screening and neuroendocrine tumors guidelines. He has attended several international and national conferences, too numerous to mention. Dr. Bello is currently the principal investigator of the demonstration trade of immunotherapies in multiple malignancies in Africa. He is also the principal investigator at the National Hospital of Heritage Study of 54 gene mutation in Nigeria. He is married with children. At this juncture, it is instructive to make plain and join my voice to the already critically acclaimed notion that some of the world's best and brightest researchers relentlessly pursue the answers that help
understand how to prevent, detect, and treat all cancer types. And that the critical researches of our guest speaker, combined with his effective community-based anti-cancer initiatives, has allowed him to put his findings into action. 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women worldwide develop cancer during their lifetime. Our guest speaker, Dr. Bello's translational research approach seeks to accelerate the application of discoveries in the laboratory to clinical practice. This is often referred to as moving advances from bench to bedside. A highly revered guest speaker is on a mission to free the world from cancer. Consequently, our guest lecturer today is no better equipped to help us make sense of today's topic, titled Reducing the Scourge of Cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, I therefore counsel that we listen with attention to Dr. Abubakar Bello Muhammad. Yes, lecturers. Thank you.
The Chief Medical Director, the celebrant, Professor Lawrence Chidobe, and all important dignitaries. Let me stand on existing protocol. We also thank the wonderful citation I was given. When I was standing, I was wondering whether it was actually me or it's another person we are alluding to. Thank you very much. The topic of today's lecture is reducing the scourge of cancer, which is quite apt, as the Chief Medical Director has mentioned. In the time of COVID-19, when we really need to look inwards, we really need to see where have we been, where are we, and where are we heading. I'm not sure time will permit me into going to technical aspects of reducing the scourge of cancer. And this is a public lecture where a lot of our participants here are not clinicians, and we also want to understand exactly what we are talking about. So I'm the president of the African Organization for Research and Training in Cancer. It's one of the biggest cancer organizations in Africa, with so many members in the continuum of cancer care. So if you are interested in anything related to cancer, whether it's advocacy or palliation or treatment, please join us as we review the scourge of cancer in sub-Saharan Africa. This is a valedictory presentation in honor of Professor Lawrence Chidozie, Professor of Surgical Oncology, who I'm fortunate to have met almost 20 years ago. At the time, I was learning the arts of oncology, and when he came into my clinic and spent a whole day without even saying a word, he was very patient, and at the end of the day, he walked to me and said, "I like the way you work. Please, can you teach my daughter?" So that would be an honor. And I'm proud to say that one of the finest oncologists that we have today at the National Hospital is no other person than the daughter of Lawrence Chidozie. In his inaugural lecture, which is a must read for everyone here, please. I think it was published by the Canadian University Press in March 2005, God's servants stand in the service of mankind. And what have we learned from that inaugural lecture? That science is an evolving field, and he prophesied that yes, the development of immunohistochemistry, namely hormonal receptors, will guide treatments. And today, no one that knows exactly what he's doing will treat any breast cancer without immunohistochemistry. So it is a wonderful thing to go back to that inaugural lecture and extract all his prophecies, like someone alluded him to Paul in the Bible. As an initial acknowledgement, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the founders of Canadian University for creating the first private school of clinical medicine and medical sciences in Nigeria. It has already produced over 1,000 medical doctors and so many other pharmacists, some of which have become oncology pharmacists that are currently working with me at the National Hospital in Abuja, Nigeria. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to the management for inviting me to give this lecture and making it a smooth sail. I will start with a poetry that somebody alluded to and call it "I am a cancer cell." And it goes like, "Of my earliest ancestry no evidence remains. When the earth's first creatures stirred the ancient seas, when the pharaohs wrote the pyramids, when the medieval scribes laboriously recorded their philosophies, I was there. The ingenious beautiful who recognized my stamp marshaled the forces of science against me. Malicious, relentless, insidious I am, full of destruction, ripe for carnage. Yet, in my enduring frame, I carry the secret of life. Study me, and you will bring into the light of the day precious ounce of wisdom, long buried in the tomb of ignorance. For you, I shall tell a wondrous tale of the beginning of things that are and are to be. Study me, know me, and you will hold the world in fear. Neglect me, and as surely as the fingers of the down grasp first the temple of the east, I will strike you dead. So this is from a poetry called "Cancer, the Unwanted Visitor." So what exactly is cancer? Cancer simply means uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells anywhere in the body. So these abnormal cells are termed cancer cells. They can be called malignant cells, or in some instances are called tumor cells. One of their most important characteristics is that they can spread and infiltrate normal body tissues, causing damage. So, if I swallow a cancer cell, can I develop cancer? Certainly not. So why not? Because cancer is caused by accumulated damage to genes. So it's a genetic disease. And the only way you can develop cancer is if you are exposed to a substance or a bacteria or virus that is called carcinogen. You can have occupational risk factors, and you can have lifestyle-related factors. All these will work on your gene, causing mutations. And it is those mutations that will make the body to develop cancer cells. So look at the body. So look at the body as a vehicle or as a car, right? The car has an accelerator, it also has brakes. Now, when you are speeding, you are likely to crash if there are no brakes. So at any point that you match the brake, you decelerate and you can actually stop. The same thing goes for the human body. There are genes that suppress the formation of cancer cells. Those are called the tumor suppressor genes. So it is when something happens to those tumor suppressor genes and you can no longer suppress the formation of cancer cells that you actually develop cancer. In other words, the body keeps forming cells that are abnormal, but because of the action of functional tumor suppressor genes, they don't develop into a full-blown cancer. I think that explains what cancer is and why we develop cancer. So let's look at the global incidence of cancer. You will see that according to the global count, in 2018 there were 18.1 million new cases of cancer, out of which Africa had 5.8% of that number, which accounted for over 1 million new cases. And if you look at the mortality of 9.6 million new cases, and out of that, 7.3% were in sub-Saharan Africa. If you look at the number, it's over 693,000. What does that tell us? It tells us that over 70% of our new cases will die within the first 1 year. And that is not pleasant, but we will have to swallow it. So looking closely at the epidemiology of the cancer in sub-Saharan Africa, you will see that the new cases are increasing due to growing and aging population in Africa, and the incidence is expected to double by 2040 to 1.6 million new cases. And of all the cancers, about 4 account for 50% of the cancers that we have in Africa. Breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate, colorectal, and liver cancer account for 50%. If you look at this closely, you will know that 2 of them are actually preventable cancers, cervical cancer as well as liver cancer. Looking at the mortality, the top cancer mortalities in Africa are basically breast cancer, prostate, and cervical cancer. But when you include the Maghreb countries, the North African countries, then lung cancer is one of the key cases of mortality. So, what is the trend of mortality, cancer mortality generally, in developed as well as less developed countries? We notice that by 2030, in developed countries, it is projected that it will decrease by 30%, while the cancer mortality in low and middle income countries such as Sub-Saharan Africa and Nigeria, it is projected that it will increase by over 70%. And why is that? The increase in cancer mortality is likely due to delay in accurate diagnosis, lack of awareness about cancer and potential value of therapy, lack of access and the ability to deliver potentially curative therapies, and abandonment of therapies. When you look at the gamut of all this, as long as we are not able to tackle this, reducing the scourge of cancer will be a mirage in our environment. So how are the developed countries? How are the developed countries reducing the mortality? Good health system. When you want to reduce cancer mortalities, you want to have a good health system. Primary health care, where vaccines are given for preventable diseases. Secondary health care for early recognition of symptoms and good referral systems, so that when a patient presents in a secondary health care system, they will be referred quickly to a tertiary health system where you have available capacity, that is clinicians to make proper diagnosis, recognize symptoms, the right imaging, proper biopsies, and excellent pathology reporting. You will want to have equipment for diagnosis, such as CT scans, MRIs, bone scans, positron imaging, PET CT scans, Dopplers, etc. You will want to have robust surgical oncology team with multidisciplinary approach. You will want to have functional and adequate radiotherapy machines, linear accelerator brachytherapy. I will dwell on this a little bit as I go forward in my discussion. You will also want to have medical oncology team with sustainable supply of cytotoxics, biologics, and immunotherapies. So looking at the fundamentals of cancer, what are the first pillars of cancer care? Number one is prevent those cancers that are preventable, cure those cancers that are curable, treat those cancers that can be treated. I think there are two different things, cure and treating, and then palliate those that will require palliative care. Let's allude to breast cancer. The first thing is you will want to know the facts. 1 out of 8 women will develop breast cancer in their lifetime. When I look at the audience, I see about 50% of the people sitting here are females, which means that out of those numbers, a lot will develop breast cancer. I know people will say, I guess it's not my portion. But the most important risk factor of developing breast cancer is being a woman, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just like the most important risk factor of developing prostate cancer is being a man, and especially of African descent. So don't feel offended. I'm a man, and we have so many here, and they come down with prostate cancer. It's possible. So back to breast cancer, let us look at the risk factors. What are the risk factors for breast cancer? You need to know you are at risk if you want to prevent breast cancer or any cancer for that matter. Gender, we said female, even though there are male breast cancers, but they are 1 in a million population. So we are not so many, except of course those that are harboring some genetic predispositions, some inherited genes, such as the BRCA gene. If the man is inheriting it, just like the female, his chances of developing breast cancer becomes high. So we said race, the Caucasians are more prone to breast cancer than just like black people are more prone to prostate cancer. Age, breast cancer increases as women get older. Relatives, if you've had a mother, a sister, an auntie that have had breast cancer, chances are that you may also develop breast cancer. What of menstrual history? Early onset and late menopause predisposes to breast cancer. And this is related to the unchallenged or the longer effect of estrogen on the breast. So the longer the unchallenged effect of estrogen, which is the female hormone, on the breast, the more likely that the person will develop breast cancer. Childbirth. Childbirth, first child after the age of 30 or having no child at all. In other words, pregnancy and breastfeeding are protective against breast cancer. Obesity. The fatter you are, the more likely, because you may have a lot of estrogen producing adipose tissue that may predispose to cancer. Diet, what of diet? Fatty diet, alcohol consumption can also predispose. Lack of physical exercise and stress. Stress, we are all stressed these days because we have increased the tariff of electricity. They've also increased fuel and less money that have not been implemented. I don't know whether they've done that in Benin, in Edo State, but the minimum wage in so many places still remains the same. So there is a lot of stress. And that can also predispose to cancer. Radiation exposure. Now let me quickly hasten to say, exposure to the breast itself to radiation is what could predispose to cancer. However, in utero exposure to radiation, even if it's an X-ray, will predispose that child later in life to developing breast cancer. I've talked about hormones and genetics. There are certain inherited genes, such as the BRCA gene 1 and 2, which makes the individual 60% more susceptible to developing breast cancer than the general public. I know you remember the story of Angelina Jolie, who found out that she had inherited the BRCA gene, and she went and removed the two breasts that she had. And as a result, she has reduced her chances of developing breast cancer from 60% to less than 3%. So that has actually helped her. So looking at them critically, you will see that some of the risk factors can actually be prevented or can be controlled. Take, for instance, obesity. You do exercise, physical exercise, reduce your weight, you are reducing your chances of developing breast cancer. Or not having a child at all. You can be a surrogate. You can breastfeed for another person. It reduces your chances. Alcohol consumption, reduce the intake. That will also help. And of course, exercise. Exercise is very critical in reducing breast cancer and indeed most cancers. So what are the factors that we cannot change? Number one, of course, is gender. Even though these days, I know that there are transgenders that can become male, but they don't change their genetic constitution, which is some of the things that we will take to the scientists that are changing the men into women and women into men. Age, you can't change that. Family history, genetic changes, menstrual periods, whether it starts early or it finishes late, you cannot change, and so on and so forth. What of cervical cancer? Let's look at cervical cancer, which is the number one cause, the second cause of death in sub-Saharan Africa. And it is a preventable disease that is caused by the human papilloma virus. It is only second to breast cancer in Nigeria, and like I said, in sub-Saharan Africa, and has the highest mortality across the continent. But it has good treatment outcome, even in late stages, where you are able to access proper treatment. And because of that, the World Health Organization has developed a strategy for the elimination of cervical cancer, which will come to. Look at the risk factors. The number one culprit is the human papilloma virus. Others are starting to have sex at a young age, before the age of 17, exposing yourself to the human papilloma virus early, or having many sexual partners, still exposing yourself to the chances of having the human papilloma virus. Interestingly, men are basically carriers. They hardly develop penile cancer as a result of human papilloma virus. But they can deposit to the woman, and the woman comes down with cervical cancer. And that is why it is risky. And when you have a weak immune system, like patients that have the HIV virus, can also develop the cervical cancer. But we know that 85% of cervical cancers are basically as a result of the human papilloma virus infection. And because of that, the Director General realizing, and Africa, realizing how bad it is in sub-Saharan Africa, and how we can actually eliminate the whole disease through three fundamental things. Initiated some global consultations sometimes last year. And this year, there has been a plan, a timeline for the elimination of the cervical cancer. And we call it 90-70-90. What does that mean? It means by 2030, we hope to immunize 90% of girls by age 15 by 2030, and 70% of women would have been screened for the human papilloma virus between the age of 35 and 45. And 90% of women that are identified with invasive disease would have received precancerous lesion treatment or treatment for invasive cancer. This is a tall order for sub-Saharan Africa. We celebrated it last week, the launch of the global strategy with fanfare. We were putting light all over teaching hospitals and all that. But the real work will start now. If we don't start the work today, it will just end up like the Millennium Development Goal. So this is the time to convene civil society across health fields to build coalitions and join campaign around cervical cancer. Now is the time to politically drive action at national levels and to partner with government to share information on cervical cancer and the risks and opportunities to intervene. This is what the WHO Director General has now said. Let's go back to the men. We know worldwide the burden of cancer in men is mostly as a result of prostate and lungs because of smoking. This is worldwide. But by the time you look at the statistics of prostate cancer, the facts, it is estimated that there were 174,650 new cases in 2019, and that has increased with over 20,000 in 2020. The estimated deaths has also increased from 31,000 to 33,000 in 2020. And a man will be diagnosed every 3 minutes of prostate cancer. And a man will die from the disease every 17 minutes because of lack of access and lack of affordability to treatment. And majority of these deaths are seen in sub-Saharan Africa because we lack most of the facilities to treat those cancers. If you look at this Canadian study, you will see that it is 1 out of 7. In Nigeria, it is 3.5 out of 10 that will develop prostate cancer in their lifetime. So, what are the risk factors? Number 1 is age. The risk increases with age. As you get older, you just like in females with breast cancer, the older you get, the more likely for you to develop prostate cancer. And like I said, African Americans have a rate of incidence double that of Caucasians. And of course, family history, which gives you a 3-fold increase in the risk of developing prostate cancer. Diet. Eating red meat has also increased the risk of developing prostate cancer by almost 3 times. And we see it is fun, really, that you are arrived, if you are eating red meat every day. If you are in this university and you cannot eat red meat every day, you complain, not knowing that you are reducing the incidence, your incidence of developing prostate cancer. Vitamin C and calcium have also been implicated. Vegetable oil rich in alpha-linolenic acid and byproducts of those fats promote the growth and seriousness of prostate cancer. So, what are the preventable causes of cancer worldwide? Look at this graph. You will see that 18% of cancers globally are caused by infection. The Epstein-Barr virus that is recovery for the head and neck cancers, Helicobacter pylori, that is responsible for gastric cancers, the human papilloma virus that accounts for almost 28% of all the cancers due to infection. And of course, hepatitis B virus and hepatitis C virus that is responsible for most liver cancers and other liver carcinomas. And of all this, you will see that this accounts for 40% of our cancers in sub-Saharan Africa. So if we are able to institutionalize immunization against these viruses, we would have been reducing our incidence by 40%. Looking at 50% of the deaths from cancer, you will see that in the high-income countries, tobacco is number one. Tobacco is number one, and other things like hepatitis and alcohol use. But when you look at the low-income countries such as Nigeria, human papilloma virus, lack of physical exercise, as well as other infections are the real culprits. Again, these are the factors. You will see that infection really is our number one risk factor in most of this. So if we are really going to look at our facilities and make sure that we institutionalize vaccines, the human papilloma vaccine, the hepatitis B vaccine, and so on and so forth, we will be reducing, and then we will be reducing our incidence by over 40%. Of course, there is vaccine. There is vaccine for the hepatitis B and the human papilloma virus. Vaccine is available. We have three types: the bivalent, polyvalent, and the nanovalent vaccine. And I'm happy to note that the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has promised that they will institutionalize next year the human papilloma virus vaccine in their national immunization program. So government is trying to put things in place so that every woman will be able to access. First, they are going to target those that are not sexually exposed, that means young children, and those that have had pap smear or any form of test for the human papilloma virus. There's a DNA HPV test, which is a blood test that you can do, and then if you are not exposed to the virus, then you can easily go and have the vaccine. That will help you a great deal. What of cure? We said cure those cancers that are curable. We know that in Africa, one of the most difficult things for cure is late presentation, and late presentation. 86% of our cancer patients present to the hospital at stage 3 and stage 4, when cure is almost very difficult. And also there is no access to treatment. And because of these two combinations, you have poor outcomes for patients. Access to comprehensive cancer care is really limited, and I will allude to that, so that you will see what is the Nigerian experience today. So what are the treatment options for some of these cancers? We said surgery. I hope Professor Lawrence Chidozie is not going to run away, because we still need more and more and more surgical oncologists if we want to get it right. So the significance of surgery basically is for biopsies for diagnosis. For complete cure, if detected early, surgery in most cancers can be curative without any other intervention. And you can actually use surgery to reduce the burden of disease as well as to palliate symptoms. Some patients will present with huge breast cancers that are bleeding that will require some form of surgery where radiation is not available. And you want to collect tissues during surgery for research. You will know that most of the drugs that are being used for cancer treatment are imported from outside sub-Saharan Africa. Most of the clinical trials don't involve us. And yet we are in a hurry to go to those countries for treatment. And we end up coming back because they don't work for us. So research is an integral component of treatment, and we must invite research, local clinical trials, so that we'll be able to fashion our own treatment. What of radiation? Because our diseases present late, stage 3 and 4, over 70% of our patients will require radiation at one time in the journey of their treatment. So because of that, radiation is very critical, and we need to have radiation facilities in this country and effective trained personnel to be able to man those facilities. So what are the essential equipment that are required in a radiotherapy clinic? You will see that you will need a specialized building. It's a bunker. You need a mega voltage machine, such as a linear accelerator. You need to have a simulator. A simulator is like a CT scan that mimics the kind of treatment that you are going to give. You need to have a darkroom. You need to have a dosimetry and physicist room. You need to have high-dose rod brachytherapy bunkers. You need to have mold rooms, and so on and so forth. What of setups? The machines. You need to have teletherapy units. You have beam treatment measuring equipment for QA and QRs. You need to have physics equipment, film processing equipment, patient immobilization device, and mold room equipment. You need to have brachytherapy high-dose grade equipment. So what of the number of personnel? You need to have 4 to 5 radiation oncologists, and if you need to give chemotherapy, then you need to increase them to 8 or 10. And you need to have 3 to 4 medical physics staff that are qualified as radiotherapy medical physicists. You need to have oncology nurses, and you need to have a maintenance technician and an engineer. So for you to have a world-class radiotherapy service, you need adequate planning, adequate funding, adequate equipment, and adequate staffing. Let's look at the Nigerian situation quickly. We know that we have about 8 or 9 radiotherapy centers in the whole country. ADU, Sokoto National Hospital, Enugu, Ibadan, Lagos, Benin, and a 4th hospital that is a private hospital. And when you look at the staffing of all those facilities, I will just take two so that I will not bore you too much. ADU area that is over 25 years old has one non-functional cobalt 60 machine. No treatment planning, no simulator, no CT simulator, non-functional brachytherapy machine for cancer of the cervix. Let's check University of Ibadan. One functioning sometimes about 60 machines, no simulator, no treatment planning system, 2 high-dose rate brachytherapy that are doing 2D planning, not 3D, 2D planning for cervical cancer and prostate cancer. It's the same story in all the other centers. In National Hospital only, you have 2 radiotherapy linear accelerators, you have 7 clinical oncologists, you have 2 certified medical physicists, you have no dosimetrists, you have 7 therapy radiographers, you have many radiotherapy nurses, and you treat over 100 patients every day for a machine that should be treating no more than 35 patients every day. So, if you look at the statistics, you will see that we have only 4 functional linear accelerators in Nigeria, 3 cobalt machines, and 1 is sometimes functional, 3 treatment planning systems, 3 CT planning, 1 high dose rate, 3 high dose rate therapy machines for a population of 200 million. When by the World Health Organization, this country requires a minimum of 200 linear accelerators, radiotherapy machines. We have 4. Out of those 4, the one presently at the National Hospital, only 1 is working. 1 has gone down for the last 2 months. And something may be happening. We don't know yet. Egypt, with a population of 18 million, has 90 linear accelerators with over 20 cobalt machines. So just make a mental understanding of where are we in reducing the scourge of cancer in Nigeria. Take for instance the number of clinicians that are supposed to man those equipment to treat cancer. We have about 75 clinical oncologists when we require over 3,000. We have certified medical physicists, 29, and we need at least 1,000. Therapy radiographers, we need about 2,000. Dosimetrists, we don't have 1. You should have 1 for every machine that you have. That's about 200 minimum. And a dedicated engineer for each machine. We have 6 for a population of 200 million. Egypt, again, has 768 clinical oncologists residing and practicing within Egypt. And they supply the whole of the Middle East with oncologists, with surgeons, and so on. And I'm sure Professor Chidozie will attest to this fact because he knows. So they also have 1,000 clinically certified medical physicists. So how can we change this narrative? It is to start today. And I think a Belizean university can set the pace by providing privately driven comprehensive cancer centers as is obtained elsewhere. If you go to the United States, if you go to India, or any other place for medical treatment, you don't go to their government hospitals. You go to their private hospitals. So we do know that yes, government cannot do it alone. Private initiative is mandatory. And hospitals, universities such as a Benedict University, with all that it takes, can actually lead the way. And I hope that we will be around as an organization of African research and training in cancer to be here to support you when you want to establish such an endeavor. So we talk about treating those that can be treated. If you can't cure the patient, then at least treat them so that they are not in pain, so that they can live a normal life for as long as it takes. So we know that treatment of metastatic disease is now possible because immunohistochemistry has changed the way we treat metastatic disease. And research into genomics and gene sequencing has also allowed personalized care, such that even for metastatic disease, you can take a tissue and get where is that mutation that has caused that disease, and you can actually reverse that disease for as long as it takes. This is not a miracle, it is happening around the world, and it is my dream that it will start also in not so distant future in Nigeria. Immunotherapy has given more treatment options. I'm sure you remember Jimmy Carter, who was the former president of the United States and had a cancer called melanoma that spread to his brain. And they had tried every treatment at the time. But it turned out that they need something new. And that gave birth to immunotherapy. And they created the institute called IC, Parker Institute for Cancer Immunotherapy in California, where they were able to produce a drug that used their immune system to fight cancer in your body. And within few months of the use of ipilimumab, Jimmy Carter was cured of a brain tumor and he lived a very long life. So, and there are advances, not only in immunotherapy. If you look at the HER2-type breast cancer, it has evolved. And that is why I keep referring to the inaugural lecture of Professor Lawrence Chidoge in 2005 as the time that this had not evolved. But he foresaw that yes, the use of immunotherapy is a lot of our treatment. And that has actually come to pass. That we have 4 subtypes of breast cancer, and they have 2 types is so aggressive that it can actually go into your brain as quickly as their promise. But they have done research that even with brain cancer, with brain metastasis, with the use of new drugs such as the TBM1, you will see that you can actually cure that brain disease. So this is advancement. This is where they are today. I hope we will be able to just join them. I'm not saying we must reinvent the wheel, but let's get there so that some of you will be able to move forward with the research. So this is what I'm alluding to. If you look at the diagram, it's not so clear. Initially, this patient had brain metastasis. But with the use of trastuzumab, the patient with metastasis literally disappeared, and the median survival approached 2 years for somebody with brain metastasis. And is able to engage and appear. I think that is the great news. Look at other diseases, like the triple-negative breast cancer, another form of very terrible cancer that is so prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa, in young women. And the only treatment before now is only chemotherapy and chemotherapy and chemotherapy with all the toxicities. But now with the advent of immune therapy and genomics, we are able to see that there are targets that we can actually inhibit in that triple negative breast cancer. And because of that, patients can live longer now with better quality of life. So we say palliate those that require palliative care, which is a major component of cancer care. And it is used to treat symptoms when cure is not possible, and also as an urgent step to prevent life-threatening conditions such as bleeding, obstruction of airways, and so on and so forth. And one of the cardinal principles of palliative care is pain management. If you have seen a cancer patient in pain, then you have seen it all. Because it is such disaster, if I should use that word, to see somebody in agony without help. And that is why the WHO Assembly said no cancer patients should suffer pain. And that is why they have created the morphine program around the world. Pain is experienced in about 55% of patients undergoing treatment for cancer and 66% for metastatic or terminally ill cancer patients. And if that is correct, that means almost all our patients will experience pain. And what that means is we must relieve pain to improve the quality of life of patients with cancer. The prevalence, like I mentioned, is significant. After curative treatment, still patients develop cancer, pains, even those undergoing treatment in advanced cases, and especially for head and neck cancers. It accounts for almost 70% of patients will experience pain. So, no cancer patient must suffer pain. And the Ministry of Health has taken the challenge by providing morphine powder to institutions across the country. If you have an institution, you live in an institution, please access the opioid department of the Federal Ministry of Health and insist that you get morphine powder for reconstruction for your patients. They are moving a little bit forward to see that even private hospitals are able to access morphine powder. Do not deny any cancer patient of morphine. You'll be worried about addiction, right? Well, the patient has metastatic disease. He's not likely going to be cured. So which one will you be worried about? Is agonizing pain or the addiction? And in any case, morphine is the less addictive of all the opioids. And there is also the Treat the Pain initiative of the American Cancer Society, and they have created a desk at the Federal Ministry of Health where you can actually go and get trained on how to use morphine and other painkillers for the treatment of pain in cancer. So, in summary, what you must remember in this lecture is the impact of cancer. It's physical, it's psychological, it is social, it is spiritual. All these things must be addressed when you want to treat cancer and deal with health. So how can you prevent cancer? Avoid the things that cause changes in your cells, in your genes. Carcinogens, chemicals. I'm sure the chief medical director understands what I'm saying as a toxicologist. Carcinogens, radiation, exposure to radiation. And if you have a family member who is an albino, know that when they are exposed to sun, they develop all forms of skin cancer. So it is not fashion to expose themselves to sun. They should cover up and use an umbrella under the sun. And cancer viruses or bacteria. If you can prevent yourself from the human papilloma virus, knowing the risk, sharing partners, going for HPV testing, taking vaccine, that will help you a great deal. Don't drink too much alcohol and don't smoke. So people that smoke and drink at the same time have 40 times the risk of people that don't smoke or drink. So when you combine the two, it is called double jeopardy. Eat lots of fruits and veggies. Studies have shown that eating fruits and veggies will lower the risk of your cancer. You must remember the 7 cardinal warnings of cancer. Changes in bowel habits or bladder habits. If you go to toilet more frequently without any reason, you must see your doctor. You are passing urine more frequently, you are not diabetic, you must see your doctor. If you see a sore in your body, any part of that body that is not healing, you must see your doctor. And usual bleeding from any orifice, whether it's your nose, your ear, the anus, or through the urethra, you must see your doctor. If you see unusual bleeding from the nipples of the breast or a discharge with blood, you must see your doctor. Thickening or lump on the breast or anywhere else, see your doctor. Obvious change in a what, something that you see, a black dot, but it's increasing in size, suddenly see your doctor. Or your voice has just changed. Hoarseness. Or you have a nagging cough. See your doctor and insist that that doctor gets an oncological investigation for you. I have a story, a very nasty, of one of my patients who was a very senior medical person, and when he retired, 2 months after, developed a cough, and he went to see his doctors, and they kept repeating that probably he has tuberculosis, because that was the literature keeps saying, that in Africa, tuberculosis is rampant. Tuberculosis is rampant. That's the Western world. They are telling us that. We haven't done research anymore. You see how many tuberculosis do we see every day vis-a-vis non-cancer? And they wasted his time until he got to me and said he has fluid in his lungs. I said, let's just take a small and look at psychology. And lo and behold, this man had lung cancer and is in treatment. So it is important that you heed to the warning signs and see your doctor. Finally, myths. There are so many myths surrounding cancer and facts. I've been told that touching the breast too often will lead to cancer. Has anybody heard that? It's false. I'm talking about cancer will cause cancer. When I said some people may develop breast cancer, everybody will shout, this is not my view. It's not true. There must be some triggers that will make you develop cancer. And using illegal drugs, some of them have been told that taking weeds may develop laryngeal cancer and but certainly not lung cancer. Herbs can cure breast cancer, it's not true. A bruise on the breast will lead to breast cancer, not necessarily. If an incision is made during breast cancer surgery, the cancer will spread. Yes, if not done by a proper physician or not done properly. Yes. So don't go to any herbalist and think that he's going to put a stitch and milk it out. It will spread that cancer, definitely. Getting too many mammograms will lead to breast cancer? No. Mammogram are only used to evaluate breast lumps. It can also be used for screening. So from the age of 40, mammogram is indicated for every woman. Breast cancer also only affects older women. No. I've seen a 16-year-old girl with breast cancer, and if you have a risk factor for breast cancer, you are likely to get the disease. Maybe yes, maybe no. So there are caveats. If you have risk factors and you are able to prevent those risk factors, probably you will not develop it. There is chemo prevention these days, and you can actually take drugs that will prevent you if you have those symptoms. Like you don't want to get rid of your breast, so we give you chemo prevention, and that's it. Using antiperspirants for breast cancer is not true. A breast cancer diagnosis and automatic death sentence, it is not true. Breast cancer is preventable, not necessarily. But you can know your risk factor and then be able to get it early. But just know that cervical cancer is definitely preventable. Thank you very much. Now you don't have to be afraid of cancer anymore. Be alert, be vigilant, save lives. Thank you, sir.
Another round of applause for the guest lecturer. It's been able to bring this, all those English down to the level where everybody can relate with it. So thank you very much, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in line with the university tradition, I'd like to invite the Vice Chancellor to make a special presentation to the guest lecturer to commemorate today's lecture.
With the flag of appreciation to Dr. as guest speaker, Professor Lawrence Chukuma on this day, Wednesday, 2nd December 2020, at the University of Chile. Congratulations. This is specifically compliments from the vice.
Presentation of special gifts to the celebrant. And I'd like to invite the Vice Chancellor to the presentation.
Invite the principal officers and the provost and dean of medical college to be upstanding and join in this presentation.
Professor of Surgery, former Dean, School of Clinical Medicine, and former Deputy Vice Chancellor, on the occasion of a validity lecture, this day, 2nd of December 2020.
On behalf of the entire University Management, Senate, Canadian University, staff, students, I will make this presentation to you. Solo feminine work not good. It's not a common. It's common. We'll certainly do a lot of applause. That is one of the very fit. Professor Chedeze with total civility, ethos, and etiquette, they're all in his fingertips. So we'll make this presentation. Thank you very much. The lady just approaching is Professor Chedeze's daughter, the consultant oncologist. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor at this point
Let me just tell you something you don't know. You see the lady that came upstairs just now? I was there last year when she celebrated 80th birthday. And she's still on 3 inches high heel. You know, because 2 years ago, she's 82. We got to the venue, we were wondering who was the celebrant. Because she looked like a guest that is around 60-year-old. Give her a round of applause. With great delight, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and I dare say, with a standing ovation, I'd like to invite the celebrant, Professor Lawrence Chukwuma Chegozie, to the microphone to give
Vice Chancellor, sir, please permit me to stand and assist. I must say that I am really overwhelmed by the honor being done me today by the university. I feel really humbled by the number of you who have managed to come here today. Even more amazing is all the nice things that have been said about me. I can hardly recognize who we were talking about when we were describing all these things about Chukwuma Chegozie. You know, the thing about achievement is that they have at least 4 characteristics. There is the opportunity to achieve, then the finding of shoulders to stand on a clear order in order to achieve, the various conditions that you require, and finally the large number of people who actually carry out the job that is being honored to. In my case, my coming to Canadian University came about as follows. I returned to Nigeria in late 2002, and through the intervention of Prince Professor Kenzo, I was very absorbed by the University of Benin. In early 2003, my very good friend, Professor Mwawa, who is here today, he mentioned me to our Chancellor, Chief Sir Dr. Bulu. In his usual manner, he invited me to see him in Kenya. When I saw him, he was actually supervising the building of this building, putting up of this building. He was personally supervising this building. Here was a man who had sunk incredible amounts of his wealth into setting up a university so as to give to his country a world-class university where the academic calendar would be stable and be respected. So when he asked me to come and join him in building medical education in the university, it was an easy thing to accept because it was giving me a golden opportunity to perform. And for this, I thank most very, very much. I thank the Honorable Chancellor. On the issue of finding a shoulder to stand on, I was very lucky. When I arrived at the Canadian University Teaching Hospital, where I was the first surgical consultant of the evolving College of Health Sciences, I met an educational giant in the person of Professor Taiwo Darabala. He was the founding provost of the College of Health Sciences. Academic in medical education and university education, he was a giant and had very broad shoulders on which to stand on in my new job as a founding dean of the School of Clinical Medicine. Now, having been appointed there, I found myself with a difficult job. I had 40 young people who had completed their basic sciences. And it was now my duty to teach them clinical medicine over the next 4 years until they finally became medical doctors. That job required that I write the curriculum for teaching clinical medicine. I find the patients and clinical material that will meet the standards of Medical and Dental Council for clinical medicine. To recruit all the teachers that are needed to teach clinical medicine, to prepare for the accreditation visit of Medical and Dental Council, and mandatorily pass the first visit so that the students may qualify to take part 2 and part 3 of the MBBS professional exam, mandatorily pass the second visit so that they can take part 4 final MBBS examination. Now, to get all this done requires obtaining permissions and so on of various committees of the university and so on. But again, I was lucky. Having obtained the permission and consent of the committees, I have Professor Daramola as provost. I have Professor Professor Rai, who actually appointed me dean. I have Professor Rosa Asai, who was the second vice chancellor of the university. And I had Professor Zemoni, who reappointed me because he made achieving possible. So, having obtained permission, having been appointed me, having found a shoulder to stand on, having been granted permission to perform, now came the real work of actually doing the work of his performer. And this work was required a large number of people that included lecturers, laboratory scientists, administrators, nurses, and so on. All of these people are the ones who actually did the work that led to Xavier University becoming the #1 private medical school that has produced more than 1,000 doctors, world-class doctors. So, I'm being praised, honored today for this. But you can see that what I'm being praised for is not the job of one person. This job belongs to a large number of people, all of whom I have just mentioned. They were lecturers, they were nurses, they were lab scientists, they were administrators, principals. All of these people contributed to what I'm being honored for today. And I owe all these people a great deal of thanks. So, for the lecturers, represented by Provost, Professor Uribe, for the nurses, represented by Chief Lieutenant Mr. Bassi, for the administrators, represented by Dr. Okoro, Dr. Bakari, and Dr. Nobiawe, for the laboratory scientists, represented by Mr. Tikrenisha. Please join me in giving all of them a round of applause. Now, in all medical schools, it is the dean's office which is actually the engine room. A lot of people know it is the engine room of the medical program is the dean's office. Now, that office cannot function without having a good and efficient school secretary and confidential secretary. I've had the great luck of working with a large number of school secretaries and confidential secretaries. I owe a great deal of thanks to this group of men and women, and they include the following. Please stand if you are here to for permission. Mr. Gwenga Tegede, Mrs. Alopade, Mrs. Irene Nosa, Mrs. Mercy Mokoko, Mrs. Darling Imorego, Mrs. Doris Usi, Mrs. Victoria Abolari, Ms. Helen Ezana, Ms. Joy Ibehe, Mr. John Arifade, and Mrs. Victoria Brown. Today's honor is as much theirs as it is mine. Now, over the help of many colleagues led to what we are celebrating today. Many former colleagues and many former students of mine who have become professors and consultants, all of them came whenever I asked them. I cannot forget the help of people like the eminent Professor Larry Sajado, the late Professor Sito Sino, Professor Reginald Ofredi, Professor Louis Ojogu, Professor Yekore Tate, Professor Austin Bassani, Professor Chibundu of Ohanaka, Professor Labake Edema, Professor Obiawe, Dr. Ofunre Borena, Dr. Isaac Asubi, Professor Dominic Asara, Dr. Samu Bona, Dr. Wadiae, Commissioner Dr. Patrick Kunde, and a host of others, too many really to mention all the names. My very great, sincere thanks to the great support. Today, I am particularly happy and good for the opportunity to say special thanks to a friend. This man took under his care during her residency my daughter, Dr. Uchechukwu Shagaya, and trained her so that today she is a consultant radiotherapist and oncologist. On top of that, although he is working in one of the busiest oncology centers and is truly busy, he has still found time to come today to deliver the special lecture here in Please join me in recognizing the chairman of Creative African Organization for Research and Training in Oncology, the chief consultant in radiotherapy, Human Oncology, Dr. Abubakar Muhammad. In my 45 years of university career, I have had the luck of working with very many vice-chancellors. All of these eminent academicians were very kind to me and gave me opportunities that enhanced my standing in the university system. Among these, however, I would like to single out a particular individual, a particular vice-chancellor, to whom I would like to say a good thank you. He is my current vice-chancellor, Professor Lawrence Ikechukwu, PhD. From the day he joined the University, he has reserved a special gentleness and cordiality for all of us aging professors in the university. Please allow me, sir, to say thank you very much for treating with kindness all of us aging professors in the university. Thank you, sir, for the Thank you, sir, for the decision of having honor with the valedictory lecture today. Thank you very much. And through you, I would like to say special thanks to the Chancellor of this university. It is through his generosity and determination that the entire idea of a first-class medical school was created and gave this opportunity. Through you also, I would like to thank the members of the University Council, the University Senate, the academic and non-academic personnel for the honor of me today. Sir, may the good Lord bless you and grant you the grace to continue to do the wonderful job that you are doing in the Grenada University. Since
I implemented my decision to retire from the university 6 months ago, some of my very favorite hymns are ingrained in my mind. One of them is Count Your Blessings. And looking back over my last 82 years in this world, the good Lord has really spent a lot of time blessing me with many miracles. So, the basic colleagues, friends, permit me to end this small talk today with the acclamation, O Lord my God, how great thou art. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor during the conservative police officers actually described Professor Chedeze as a philosopher king. And as he said that, I remembered something that happened in the library conference some time ago when we were having a program. In the course of the program, Professor Chedeze was to move to the item where there's, and by some circumstance, his steps skipped, and he literally almost fell down completely. And everybody was worried. In fact, everybody was embarrassed. But by the time Professor Chedeze came to the table, and he said, in life, it is inevitable to fall. He said, but you don't stay on the ground. He said, you rise up. And everybody, again, to give response to all that has been said, he has catalogued all the people that work with him, acknowledging their contribution to the success that is being celebrated today. That is one thing that has distinguished the man over the years. Can we please give him another round of applause? Therefore, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a singular honor to invite the Vice Chancellor to conduct one of the most solemn events in the history of academic, and that is of the. May I please invite the Vice Chancellor?
It is with all those who have served in the rank of Deputy Vice Chancellors. Very solemn and solemn indeed. We shall now ceremonially behold who have served Senate together the period of 17 years.
But he was saying,
I think it should be all our prayers that God will allow all of us to experience this kind of honor in our lifetime. Vice Chancellor, sir. On this note, I'd like to invite the Vice Chancellor for the closing remark. Very distinguished representative, sponsors and directors of this officers, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We have listened to a presentation that will linger in our memories for a very long time. We have witnessed a ceremony that will also linger in our memory for a very long time. We have heard kind words and sentiments. Again, linger in our memory for a very long time. It's all about Professor Lawrence Chidozie. Thank you very much. That's my closing, and God bless you. Without further delay, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to invite the registrar, Mr. Friday Benji Bakari, to give the vote of thanks.
The Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to adopt the already established protocol for this event. With all that have been said, the eulogies and all about our celebrant, I am compelled to equate him with the light. Am I correct? And there are two ways of spreading the light. One is either to be a candle or the mirror that reflects it. Without fear of contradiction, I really go to say that Professor Lawrence Chidozie, our erudite professor of surgery, erudite scholar, epitomizes both of these. It is a rare combination indeed, as has been acknowledged from all the tributes and eulogies given today. It is on this note, ladies and gentlemen, that I give God the honor and glory for making this day not only a reality, but such a wonderful success. So far, let me, on behalf of management and the guest lecturer, Dr. Abubakar Mohammed Bello, not only for making himself available for the lecture all the way from Abuja, but more importantly, for doing the professor and the university proud. We are very grateful. You may rest assured that the lecture on reducing the scourge of cancer are the most illuminating and creative and indeed well-taken. Of course, next in our recognition is our distinguished celebrant himself, who is the reason for our being here this morning, this afternoon. We thank you so very much. We cannot thank you enough for your selfless service to the university, which has culminated in this well-deserved honor. All I can say is that we love you and wish you a glorious future in retirement. Next, I would like to acknowledge the presence, physically and via Zoom, of our distinguished guests who have come to celebrate with us. We We thank you for your time and for adding color to this event. To all our staff who are present, beginning from management, promotions, and directors and other staff, we thank you for your coming. This vote of thanks will not be complete, ladies and gentlemen, without acknowledging the Vice Chancellor's attitude and inspiring leadership in the planning, execution, and resourcing of this valedictory lecture. We are so grateful to you, sir. May the good Lord abide with all of you as you depart to your various destinations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we take the closing prayer and the anthem in the Vassala. Shall we rise to prayer as I invite Professor Sunday Desire to give us the closing prayer?
Almighty God, we give you thanks. We worship your name for making this valedictory lecture a success. We want to thank you for the life of our Professor Chidozie, the times he has spent here. Gracious Father, O Lord, as we all live here, back to our offices, and those who will be traveling to Benin and far away, we ask the Lord you will grant journey mercies, and we want to beg of you that this same honor, O Lord, that is done to your Son, Lord, we pray, Father, as many as are here, giving all their contribution, we pray at the end will be honored like this. Thank you, eternal Father, for in Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you very much. We'll remain standing in our position until the Vice Chancellor. Please, we'll all proceed outside to the photograph stand by the banner for a group photograph. May I invite our distinguished guests to please join the celebrant at the photograph stand for a group photograph. Please, all the honorary students, want to thank you for coming. Please, your practical is about to start. Your lecturer this thing. So please go to class. Please, all our guests are to please join the Vice Chancellor and undergraduate, and the Vice Chancellor, the celebrant, and the photograph stand. It's